Emulate the taste of like non-chicken nuggets. So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
Oh, that's much better.
Edit all the blather out of your videos because my time is very precious.
Oh, that's fire.
Make it less teal and more
Cerulean? Sure.
Replace your background with something more fun? The cold void of outer space.
Let's boost that sound quality. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
It needs more style. It needs more clips, more gifs, more. Well, I might have made it too gnarly.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Transitioning to the New Descript. I'm Christiana. I'm the community manager. And I am joined by Harmony, our wonderful customer success manager, also product specialist, also awesome human. Harmony, hello.
Hey,
Welcome.
Christiana. Thanks so much for having me today.
Of course. Thank you for being here and for being our guide for today.
Always.
Yeah. Everyone, welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm seeing folks from all over. Continue. Let us know where you're tuning in from. But also, tell us how long you've been using Descript for. Today, we're talking about transitioning from Classic to the new Descript. And if you're doing that, you've probably been with us for at least more than a year-ish.
Yeah.
So let us know. How long have you been a Descript user? Someone said hi from Portland. I'm also in Portland. Hello,
Nice.
neighbor. Unless you mean Portland, Maine. And Harmony, you're in sunny San Diego. How is it down there?
It's beautiful. The sun is shining. I was able to take a little walk this morning, get ready for the day, and yeah, no
Gorgeous.
complaints.
Cool. I love to hear it.
Yeah.
2 years on Descript. I'm new. Stefan, new or old, you're welcome here.
Yeah.
Cool. 3 years on Descript. That's awesome. This is so great. Well, yeah, we've got a big topic today. We announced or we launched the new Descript, also known as Storyboard. What was it, like a year and a half ago now or something, when we first
Yeah.
beta launched it? Yeah. And now it is sort of the standard of what Descript is. But a lot of folks were still using Classic, and we completely understand that change is hard. It's a big thing to learn a tool that used to feel so familiar. It can feel really daunting to learn a new version. And we completely have heard our community's feedback that, like, hey, we could use some more help figuring this all out. And that's why we are here, to help you along with that process. All that being said, we do feel really confident that the new Descript is going to be a really amazing tool for your content creation, workflow, your tool stack. We've really focused on stability and getting this thing right in the last few months. So we think you'll really like it. But first, we'll help you figure out how to use it. So before we jump in, I'm going to share my screen, go over a little housekeeping so you know what to expect today. Awesome. So first, we'll cover the key things you need to know about transitioning. What are the facts and figures? Harmony will walk us through all that. We'll cover how to convert projects to the new Descript. Then we'll give you a tour of the Descript drive and also what projects look like and where everything is. Importing and transcribing. Scenes, we'll cover scenes, which is really at the core of the new way to use Descript for video editors and editing. Seems I wrote editing twice, just so we really underscore it.
Because it's so fun. That's why.
Exactly. That's why. So nice. You got to hear it twice. But no, we'll cover that once. How to use Descript to record, templates and stock media, and of course, publishing and exporting. How do you share your stuff with the world? This is just for your viewing experience, how to get the most out of Crowdcast. If you're watching on Crowdcast, use the Ask a Question section for questions. Our wonderful support hero, Marcelo, it will be helping us out today in the chat and in the Q&A. For all of your questions that come up, throw them in the Ask a Question section. We will do Q&A at the end and hit on those. But also as we go, Marcelo will answer your cues. So keep them coming. And then use the chat for reactions and commentary and such. Sometimes Crowdcast will freeze, hit refresh, and you should be good to go. We're also streaming to YouTube right now. Hello, all of our friends over at YouTube. We see your chat too. So throw your questions in there and we will be sure to hit you up. This is recorded. We'll send it out right after in the follow-up email, but also it'll be on live on YouTube as soon as we're done. So you can go back and bookmark it and watch it as many times as you need. Really quickly want to plug our help center. There's amazing support documents on transitioning for video creators, audio creators, how to copy over a project. So definitely check that out. And then last but not least, join our Discord. We have a dedicated channel to this transition. There's close to 15,000 peeps in there helping each other out. So you can scan that QR code and you will join our Discord community. All right. That was my housekeeping. Thanks for sticking with me, everybody. Harmony, did I miss anything there, or should we sort of jump into the key things we need to know?
Yeah, I think you covered it all. Yeah, let's jump right in.
Okay, let's do it.
Cool. So we're going to be doing a demo for most of today, but we wanted to just ensure that everyone kind of knows exactly what they need to know between now and leading to up to October 1st. So most of y'all probably received an email letting you know, hey, Classic is eventually going to be sunsetted, and now we have a date. So as of October 1, you will no longer be able to create Classic projects. That's really sort of definitively the only thing that will change on October 1. After that, during Q4 of this year, all of your Classic projects are going to be auto-migrated over to the new Descript over the course of Q4. So this is kind of going to be progressive. So it's not going to all happen at once on October 1st. Again, it's going to be progressive. So those are the two main things to note. Now, if you have a Classic project that you need to keep working in, and maybe you've hit a couple snags, either with performance or catching some errors, this might be a good opportunity to actually convert that Classic project to the new UI. And I'm going to show you today how to do that. One caveat of that is that when you copy a Classic project to the new design, your comments are unfortunately not going to carry over. But if you wait until Q4, you'll bypass that issue there, and all existing projects, when they copy over, will include your comments as well. So just wanted to throw that caveat in there. I would say don't feel alarmed like right now to like, oh my gosh, I need to go and migrate every single project. That is absolutely not the case. I would say even wait until Q4 so that we do all the heavy lifting for you. And then pick and choose if there are specific Classic projects that you need to keep working in. We're going to help you figure out how to convert those or copy those over today.
Totally. So Harmony, auto migration means Descript does it for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So in theory, even if you're watching this right now and you've been worried about this, unless you have a specific project that you're running into issues with, you could just do nothing and Descript will take care of it. And maybe the best thing to do is just start getting used to the new version.
Exactly.
A good take? Okay.
Yeah. And I would say, again, like, don't worry about copying a bunch of stuff over now. The main thing will be like going forward when you create new projects now, if you still have the ability to create Classic projects, use that new project blue button to create new projects. And that will allow you to create a new project in the new Descript.
Awesome. And I have a feeling we'll show you how to do all that. So.
You absolutely will.
Okay. Awesome.
Christiana, did I hit all of the main points we wanted to let folks know about?
Totally. I feel like one thing maybe I think something we've seen from folks is, will my project get automatically deleted? And that is not the case at all.
No way. Yeah. One thing to just assure everyone, all of your project data will still be stored in your drive. There's nothing will be deleted during this period.
Right.
Like I said, we're going to be migrating everything for you.
Totally.
And also just know that like during these next few months, we've got your back. So if you have questions, reach out to support. If you do hit any snags in converting classic projects, reach out to us, reach out to our amazing support team at support@descript.com directly through the app.
Totally.
And yeah, we've got your back through these next few months and always, of
Awesome.
course.
For sure. But especially during this transition time, like when in doubt, ask, and we'll help you out.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, great. Awesome. Cool. And Marcelo is sending some handy links in the chat from the support website should you need some more resources. But I think with that all on the table, we can sort of open up Descript and start poking around.
Let's do it.
Cool.
So for folks that are brand new today, you are kind of getting a different. This isn't necessarily like a Descript 101. We are covering some older UI for folks that have been with us for a long time. But later on, we are going to be showing you how to use the updated interface. So bear with us. We're going to get there.
Right.
Cool. So I'm here in my Drive workspace, and so for those of you that maybe have a bunch of classic projects, one thing to just mention in your Drive view, it will note which projects are still classic. So you'll see here right to the left of the project title, it's a classic project. And there's two ways that you can convert a classic project to the new design. So from this Drive view, this list view, if you click on the three dots to the right of the project title, you're going to get a modal here, and you're going to see this option, copy to storyboard. If you do that, it's just going to simply create a new window. It'll open up a second Descript window, and it's going to open up that same exact project, but in the new UI. Alternatively, so that's like option one. Alternatively, you can actually go into the project. So let's open up this classic project here. In this case, I've got two compositions. I've got this short interview between Jay and JP, and then a short video interview between Marilyn and Petra here. So you'll notice that up here at the top, I've actually already copied this project, but it's reminding me like, hey, if you want to copy this to the new design storyboard, I can just hit copy. That'll open up a new window, and I'll see that new project pop up, and I'll be able to keep the classic project open if I need to reference that for any reason. And then you can dismiss that. So if you get tired of that orange bar, no worries. Just hit dismiss or X out of it. And then once it copies, if you head back to your Drive, you're going to see that original classic project, but then you're also going to see that new copy of the project here. One thing to note is that if you're copying it, it's going to copy from the location that it's in. So for example, if I go into, let's say, my narrative shows folder, if I copy something that's in that folder, it's going to copy in the narrative shows folder. Just wanted to mention that when copying things.
Got it. Cool.
Right. So that's essentially how you copy things over. Again, you don't need to do this today or even in the next few weeks. If you want, let us do this for you in Q4, but that's how you would do it kind of per project.
Cool. Harmony, question, and it's totally fine if you don't know the answer, but when we're copying projects like that and we have folks that we've shared that project with, do those same sharing settings go to the new project? Like say if I had a classic project that I had shared with you, would the copied storyboard version also be shared with you?
That's a great question. So I think I'm just going to kind of pressure test this really quick here. I'm going to look at my end of the URL here. So this is ending in 97F. So if you have access to this project, you would open it up through this web link here. I'm going to go into the new version now. Cool. Let's pop back here. And so here is the copied version, that classic project. And so I'm going to go to the project access icon here. And my guess is that it's probably going to be a new project link, but when we convert, it will be the same. Let me just
Cool.
paste this in. And let's see here. Look at that. It's the same URL. So that's good news there.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, great. Thanks, Harmony.
You got
Figuring
it.
it out in real time. I love it.
Great question. Yeah. And
Cool.
that's a good way to compare. Like previously in Classic, you would go to the share icon now, and we're going to be covering a lot of like all of these new buttons and icons, but that will be in the project access icon. So if you need to add a new collaborator, you can go to that project access icon, invite them here, give them edit or comment access, just like you would in Classic. And then once you've shared it with them, they'll get an invite. If they don't already have an account, they'll sign up. Otherwise, you can copy that link, shoot it over to them in an email or Slack, and they'll be on their way.
Cool.
Cool. Anything else there, Christiana, they should cover, or does that any other questions related to that process?
No, I think you're good. I think it's it sounds like everybody is nodding along in there.
All right. Well, yeah, shout out along the way if we've got questions.
Totally will do. Yes, will do.
While we're here too, I know we're going to be spending most of our time in an actual project today, but I just want to give folks a quick overview of the drive view, if that's cool.
Totally.
As you guys are probably seeing, not a lot has changed here, right? You still have over here on the right, this is where all of your projects, all of your folders live. Again, when creating a new project, use that blue button that will create a new project in the new UI. The search will work the same. And for folks that have access to multiple drives, you can search across multiple drives here, or if you have a specific drive that you want to look in, you can select a drive and then do a keyword search just for that specific drive that you're in.
Awesome.
And then over here on the left, same thing, like very similar to the old experience, you can toggle between the different drives that you have access to. So I have my personal drive. If I want to go to the Descript HQ drive, I can pop over there. So really simple to change drives if needed. Then we've got our filtered view, so I can access recent projects that I had open. Quick recordings are recordings that you create in Descript using our quick recorder. Things that get shared with you. So if you're collaborating with a team or contracting, you'll be able to see anything that is shared with you here. Stuff that gets downloaded to your machine, and so again, use those quick filters to access recent projects. Then a couple things that are just slightly different here. Voices. This used to be labeled overdub, so this is where you can manage different overdub voices that you're creating. Some very similar experience. Let's say if I know I'm going to be on leave for about a month, I can, even if I have to expressly share my voice if I want, but I can do that here. Share a voice, or I can delete a voice, rename it. It's all the same things that you used to be able to do. One thing that we did add in the new redesign are templates.
Right.
So this is a great way, for folks, if you have specific branding assets that you want to templatize, this is a great way of doing it. So you don't have to repeatedly add in layers over and over. You can just templatize it and apply it in one click.
Awesome. So Harmony, the templates are a good example of like something that is in the new Descript and just not in Classic.
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think it's, I remembered like having to either duplicate projects or duplicate compositions and have to like, even if I just needed to swap out a logo or like change the style of my captions, I'll just say it was a little more laborious than it needed to be.
For sure. Yes. The hacks that we would go through to do things in Classic. Yeah, and I just brought that up because somebody asked, why do the Classic projects have to be migrated to the new skin? And Marcelo already answered this in the Ask a Question section, but a really big piece of this is like the new Descript is what our team is actively working on and adding like a bunch of cool new features that we just know are going to help with your workflow. And we want our users to be on the version that we're watering and feeding and just really focusing on. And I just wanted to bring that part up as we were talking about templates. That's probably the thing that has helped my workflow the most. And I want everybody to have access to that. So that's a big reason, a big point for the new Descript.
100%.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think the other piece of it too is, especially for folks that were mentioning they've been with us for 3-4 years, as you know, Descript started off primarily as an audio editor, and that is still very much part of the fabric that is Descript. And over the last couple of years, we've just been trying to get video up to that same level, right, of finesse. And so for people that also want to incorporate video into their workflows, we just want it to be at that same level that we had gotten audio to. So you can still do everything audio workflow wise that you were doing in Classic. And actually, this is a good segue, maybe Christiana, to point out in the app settings, you can set your default project type. So if you know you're only using audio, or if video is going to be your default project type, you can set that at the app level so that way, every time you create a new project, it'll default either to an audio only project or video project.
Totally. Yes. Thank you for highlighting that. Something that I think someone saw was that somebody said, a user commented that they were worried that audio wasn't supported in the new version. And that is absolutely not the case. If you've been with us for a while, you know that podcasting was sort of Descript's first love. It was we've been for you guys for so long, and you've been there for us, and that is not going away. We're still actively building new audio features. Just last Friday, something called Regenerate became available for everybody, which is just the craziest. That's not what this event is about, but go to descript.com/regenerate to get your mind blown. And there's more really exciting stuff for audio folks coming up. So absolutely, the new Descript is for you if you're a podcaster, and it's for you if you're a video creator.
And both too.
Yes, if you're ambidextrous.
Exactly.
Or if you're just transcribing or doing whatever it is, yes, we're here for you.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Two other things to mention while we're here before we jump into a project. One thing that you'll see that's been improved in the new experience is that we've been working on improving overall live collaboration. So if Christiana and I and Marcelo are support here in the background, if we all wanted to be in the same project, composition, working together, that's much easier now, and much you shouldn't be hitting as many perhaps collaboration issues. So just wanted to shout out to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good call out.
And then, as always, if you need any help ever along the way, click on that question mark down in the bottom. You can get access to so many wonderful things through here. One is our help center, our feature request and roadmap. You can see what's new in our changelog. You can contact us if you need to get in touch with our support team. So you can also join our beta program if you want access to newer features. And we'll be talking about some of the keyboard shortcuts today, but here's quick access to them as well. I certainly don't have them all memorized, but this is a good reference point if needed.
Absolutely. For sure.
Awesome.
Cool.
Shall we open up a project, Christiana?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. One thing actually before I just wanted to hit on, we were just talking about if you're a video creator or an audio or both. Another thing that I just want to highlight is that if you're on either side and you want to start adding video to your podcast or just doing a podcast, this is also a great tool for that. Sending to different platforms. The new Descript is sort of built for the multi-platform creator. And somebody asked if you're creating both an audio version and a video version, are they two separate projects? And we'll hit on that, but that would be at the composition level, right?
Exactly.
Harmony? Okay,
yeah,
right.
Exactly. So let's say if the majority of your projects are going to be audio, but you might have, a composition here and there that you might let's say you have an episode that's audio only, but you want to create a second composition with like a candid moment from like the Zoom recording or
Right.
recorded in Squadcast or something. Pull that into a composition, switch it to a video composition, or vice versa. So this is actually a good opportunity to just show where and how to do that. Since I've opened up a blank project here. Once you're in a project, you're going to come over here to the Descript icon. You can access a lot of stuff through here. So in this case, I would go to File and then scroll down to Set Composition to Audio Only. So in this case, it opened up as a video project, and I can just set this to audio only. And then notice that previously what was my canvas, I no longer see it now. I'm just going to have two surface areas like I did in Classic. I'm going to have my script that I edit from and a timeline as well. So just wanted to offer that up. So you can do that on a per composition basis as needed.
Awesome.
Cool. So real quick, I just want to kind of go through some of the new prompts, if that's okay. So when you create a new project, you're going to see a few prompts here, and let's actually increase the text size here. Let's do one more. Cool. So you're going to see 4 prompts. One is choosing a file to transcribe. So this is a good old-fashioned way of dragging your files in, and that will kick off the transcription process, and that's what I'll be showing today. You can also start recording. This was always possible through our quick recorder, but now the amazing thing is that you can actually record directly into a composition. So if I choose to record, I can record scratch audio, I can do a camera recording, I can do a screen recording. And the really nice thing here with this is that it's a multi-track recorder now. So if I record something and I need to update a slide or something visual, I can go in and affect just the video layer without affecting my original audio. So that's a nice benefit of the update as well.
It's awesome.
I can also just start writing in the classic version of Descript, you could just start writing. So you do have that option. I'm going to go over some of our new script tools, but if that's the way that you want to start out, totally great. And last but not least, you can start from a template. So if you need a little inspiration in terms of how to get started, I'll go through working with custom and some of our pre-baked templates as well.
Cool.
All right. I'd say let's probably go ahead and pull in some media here. I'm just going to grab a couple files. That was this was actually recorded, I think, in Squadcast. So I've got 2 files. I'm dragging them in at the exact same time. I'm going to drop them here in the script area. And similarly with the classic version, I'm going to get 2 modals here. I'm going to get the prompt to transcribe. One thing to note that is still, I'd like to think, kind of relatively new is our multi-language transcription. So you can transcribe in over 20 languages now. Note that it is transcription, not translation. So just wanted to mention that. So I'm going to hit transcribe. And now I've got my second modal here. This is where we do speaker identification. So the benefit here is that when adding speaker labels, it really helps us distinguish who is speaking in the transcript, so we can easily follow along once we have our transcript. So in this case, I know that this is Marilyn and this is Petra. And last but not least, we want to make sure that we combine this into a multi-track sequence, which is essentially a container for these 2 files. So the benefit of having 2 separate tracks for each speaker is that this is going to allow me to have more flexibility later on when I'm editing. So if there are things like crosstalk or background noise, it'll be that much easier to make edits. So I'm going to hit done. And while that finishes off, I'm just going to go ahead and retitle this. This is Marilyn and Petra. And you're going to notice that I have 4 surface areas. And granted, I am working with video. In the case that I'm just working with audio only, I'm going to have 2 primary surface areas, the transcript and the timeline. With video, I have 2 additional surface areas. One is this canvas, which is where I'm going to be able to manipulate my layers. And then I can also go in and adjust my video settings, which is also great. Especially for multi-platform work. And then over here on the left, we have our scene rail. And I'm just going to go ahead and give this a quick refresh to make sure I'm getting this to transcribe in a timely manner. Generally, this is pretty fast, but we'll see how it does here in a sec. Okay, there we go. That's
Cool.
looking good. Awesome.
When in doubt, refresh, you know?
When in doubt, refresh. So as Christiana mentioned, one of the newer things that's really core to this redesign is scenes. I like to describe them as like scenes will work a lot like slides in a presentation. They allow you to like divide up your composition into discrete segments and then add visuals, whether it's like B-roll, imagery, slides, titles, or overlays. Christiana, is that generally how you think about slides as well?
Totally. Yes. That's how I've been thinking about it.
Cool. And just to kind of demonstrate how scenes work. So same rules apply in terms of how you do text-based editing, right? So I'm just going to play this real quick.
We are officially recording now. So we are recording. My name.
Okay, so nothing changes in terms of how I edit. I can still just highlight the text that I want to get rid of. I can hit delete if I want to do a full delete. Now my video will start here.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the influencer marketing.
Right. I can undo that. Instead, especially if you were previously using formatting options in the classic version, you'll notice that when I highlight a range of text, I get the script toolbar, which we'll get into more, but this is where that ignore function is. So if you want to go through, ignore, do your rough pass, get your kind of content locked, and then later on you can go ahead and remove all of that text that you've decided to ignore. But let's go ahead and I'm going to add like maybe 2 scenes here just so we can demonstrate how easy it is. So Marilyn's talking about Petra coming from New York City. So personally, I like to just hit enter to add a paragraph break. You don't have to do that, but it's just for my own visual preferences here. And then I'm going to add a slash. That has created a new scene. So you'll notice that's populating here in the scene rail as well. I'm going to add one more scene there. Okay, cool. So now for just the sentence, I want to see like a beautiful cityscape of New York. So I'm going to go up into our stock media library, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the organization of this in a moment, but I'm just going to go right here. Let's find something of New York. And this is all included in your Descript subscription, this, stock media that you can access. Just enter in a keyword search and you'll find something hopefully that you like. I'll go ahead and grab this one here. Let's pop it in. I can either drop it right on the scene, drop it on the text where those scene boundaries are. And so now let's go ahead and show kind of the transition from scene 1 to scene 2. Slowing down here, so reload real quick. Always during a demo, right, Christiana?
Oh, for sure. That's when it's slowest. The little the little fairies that live in the back end of Descript see that we're live, and
that's how it goes.
That's
how it goes. It's good. Okay, so here, let's play from here.
Independent musician Miss Petra Gerard. She's coming to us today from New York City, and where she actually.
Cool. So it showed, just for that specific scene where we want to see that B-roll, I can always come in and change the timing of this. So if I want the scene boundary to start a little bit later, I can grab that scene and move it, let's say over, right in between here. But I'm liking the pacing of this as is, but you can just grab that slash here and move it around to wherever you want it.
Awesome.
Christiana, is there anything else should mention about scenes? We can talk a little bit about the properties panel too, but just wanted to pause and see if there's any questions so far.
None specifically about scenes so far. I think you did a great job explaining it, like thinking of scenes as the containers for like the story you want to tell and all of the different elements. And yeah, just want to call out also that scenes are for video editing only. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, you don't need to, we don't have the concept of scenes right just yet for audio only workflows. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
And it's worth mentioning too that templates and scenes and templates only exist for video for now.
Totally. But with the script editing that you showed, like striking out Marilyn's first sentence, for example,
Exactly.
and the other editing of like the audio and the script that we'll go into, that is the same for a podcasting or audio workflow.
Exactly. So
Cool.
I think I'll just transition really quick because I want to make sure that we give audio only workflows the love too today. So the same kind of like rule applies here. So if I'm going along, taking a listen and making some edits.
And I had flicked off the recording screen itself. I was on your LinkedIn. So yeah, picking up here again. You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host.
Cool. So when JP says you're listening to AI in Action, that's when we actually want the episode to begin. So same thing, highlight the text that you're wanting to edit or get rid of or ignore, and then either ignore it or take whatever action that you want to at that point. But same rules apply. It works exactly the same way that it did in Classic in terms of how you go through the script and make edits.
Awesome.
Cool. So I'm going to be popping back and forth between an audio only project or audio only composition and a video one, just so that we're giving both the love as we go through today.
Totally. Cool.
Let me go ahead and go to that one. Perfect. So couple more things just about scenes. So you'll notice that when you select one of the scene cards, you're able to go in and manipulate the properties for that scene. So you'll notice that if I click in the canvas or on the script, my properties panel changes here. So if I'm in the script, I can go and do things like adding audio effects. I can change the opacity of both Marilyn and Petra's video here. I can switch multicam views. I can add effects like adding green screen or making adjustments to doing color adjustments. We also just released this really cool feature, eye contact. I know I always have issues with this. So it helps center your eyes as if, you're looking directly at the camera, even if you're like looking off to the right at a script or something.
Pretty crazy
And exciting.
Yes.
But yeah, if we select a scene card from here, I can do things like adding an effect or even adding a transition. Maybe I want to have this crossfade in. So I can add transitions at the scene level by selecting the scene card and then adjusting from the properties panel. And you'll notice too is that if we click on this B-roll, you'll see down in the timeline, there's a way to show the selected layer that you're working with, but also showing all layers. So for example, if I were to add captions here, cool, let's just shrink that down a little bit, go back up to the top here. So if I want to maybe move this layer to the back and like have Petra and Marilyn come to the front, I can right click on the canvas and adjust the layer order here as needed. So I can move things to the front, move them to the back, lots of options here.
Totally.
Cool. I think this might be a good segue to maybe talk a little bit about working in the timeline. Is that cool, Christiana?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So you'll notice down here in the timeline, you can still resize the timeline here. So if I hover over this line here, separating the timeline from the canvas area and the transcript, make it bigger, make it smaller. As I mentioned, you can go in and out of showing the selected layer you're working on or seeing all layers at once. Generally, I like seeing all layers while I'm working down here. Same thing if you're working with a sequence, just double click on the timeline. Oops. Double click. Yes. Come on now. All right, I'm going to let's go ahead and try this here. All right. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go to my select tool. That's probably why. And I can go into the edit sequence view. So I'm just right clicking so we can show a couple different ways of how to get to that sequence view. You can either double click on the timeline or right click, edit sequence. And so this way, I can go into this view where I see my multi-track view. I can do things like removing crosstalk or even muting certain tracks. I can add additional tracks to this if I want. So I'm going to zoom out here real quick just so I can show kind of like an example here. Maybe I don't want to hear when Petra's saying absolutely. I can use my timeline tool to go through my different tooling here. So I might want to use the range tool to select that range, delete. And so that way we can avoid that crosstalk. And then to get back to that sort of default view, hit done, and then that'll take you back to your project view here. So down here in the timeline, you'll notice over here on the left, it will display the time code that you're at. You can use the space bar to play, pause. Over here, you'll be able to use your tool selector. So A is your default timeline tool. So you can jump from one point in time to another just by clicking through the timeline. You can use the range tool, and I'm going to zoom in here. You can use the range tool to select a specific range that you might want to remove. Hit delete. That'll create an edit point, just like if you were removing text from the transcript. You can use the blade tool, and there's keyboard shortcuts for all of these. So B for blade. So if I want to create a couple edit points, I'm just going to use that keyboard shortcut, maybe add a couple edit points here. And maybe I select that, delete, tighten that up. Two more things. You can use the hand to move up and down or move and back throughout the timeline. And then last, you can use the slip tool. I really love the slip tool, especially if you're working with longer form content. If you go to a specific range and slip through it, you see how I'm like kind of going from one, like maybe I want to adjust to like a later point in time in this short interview. So I can basically slip through that content.
I love it.
And then one last thing down in the timeline, if I click on the three dots here, this allows me to zoom in, zoom out. So you'll notice that when you want to get really precise in the timeline, probably worth zooming in or zooming out if needed. And then you can also adjust the playback speed here. I particularly like to zoom in, especially if I'm like adding things like crossfades. So if I want to get right into this point here, I might want to nudge this on either side, peel back on this track here to add some additional time. And remember, it's all non-destructive editing. And then maybe I want to add a crossfade here. So there's a lot that you can do in the timeline, more sort of that like for that fine-tuned editing. Christiana, did I miss anything or anything else worth mentioning while we're down here in the timeline?
No, I think you got it. That was awesome. What's your favorite timeline tool, Harmony?
I really love the range tool. It especially like when I'm working in that sequence view, like I'll often go through if I'm working in a longer interview and doing like my kind of like my checkerboarding, like getting rid of like longer pauses or that kind of crosstalk that occurs. Doing that like after I do my initial import, and then going and like kind of doing my rough edit from the transcript.
Totally.
How about you? What's your favorite tool in the timeline?
Lately, it's the range tool. I'm a convert. I was so used to just like using a blade in Audacity for my old podcasts, and I was like a stickler. And now I'm addicted to the range tool.
I love it. Well, yeah. So that again, like all of your tools that you previously had there in Classic, still there. The buttons are just a little bit different, right?
Totally. Yes. A couple related things to that. Someone wrote, you mentioned shortcuts a bit ago. So someone asked, what about the shortcuts that were available in Classic? Example for strike throughs. From what I can tell, those don't work in Storyboard.
Great question. Yeah. So there are some keyboard shortcuts that have indeed changed. A couple that come to mind. So like if you're on I'm going to reference Mac shortcuts, but anything that I say that's command for Windows, that would translate over to control. So Command K, that's still the same keyboard shortcut to get to our conductor. It's how you tell Descript what you want to do. If it's like jump to a specific time or marker. couple key things that are different now. If I scroll up to, for example, Petra's last name, if I wanted to fix the spelling of her name, previously it used to be E. Now
Mhm.
it's C for correct. So if I hit the C key, I can correct Petra's last name, hit correct. So that's something that is different. Another one that I use frequently that I'm just like usually doing like with my third and second finger is
Mhm.
the Q and the W key. That was capitalization and punctuation, which is
Uh-huh.
now Z and X. So again, I would reference the keyboard shortcuts just to make sure, like, especially for like this kind of quality of life speed that you're looking for when working on a tight deadline. Those are like the main ones I would point out, but check out the shortcuts here for sure.
Totally. Yes. And Marcelo sent the help article on shortcuts as well for y'all to check out in the chat.
Cool.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I know, oh my goodness, time is flying
I know.
by. Let me
Let's keep going.
let's keep going. Okay, cool. So we talked about the scene rail. I want to mention just a couple things about the canvas. So if I select a specific layer, I can then go and manipulate it in the properties panel. So for example, if I want to change my captions, I can select that layer. I notice that I can change my font. I can just change the style. So I can I might want to just do good old fashioned classic, but I can go in and like change the hex code, make sure that everything's like matching my R standards and branding. Same thing with the video. So if I want to go ahead and change the opacity or layout, I can do all of that. I can do cropping. I can rotate things horizontally. I can flip them, which wasn't possible in Classic. And then I can also change my aspect ratio in video settings. So if I, for example, want to pull out a specific section of this and repurpose it for social, I'm going to select this. I'm going to use our duplicate to function, which used to be clip to composition.
Clip to composition, yeah.
It's kind of okay. So new composition, and what we'll see here is now that it's populated a new composition here. I'm going to go to that clip and make this a little bit bigger here. Actually, I'm going to collapse this real quick. So right here, I'm only going to have Petra on screen. So I'm going to get rid of Marilyn. I'm going to go ahead and change this to Classic. And maybe I want to format this for TikTok. I'm going to change that to portrait mode. I might want to, once I change that mode, I might need to kind of resize things as needed and then go ahead and manipulate my layers here in the canvas. I'm going to pause there because there's some other stuff to cover, but just know that like when you're in the canvas, by clicking on specific layers, you'll then be able to manipulate them in the properties panel. Cool.
Awesome.
I'm going to pop back. I'm going to go to this audio only project too, because we've been doing a lot with video. So let's do a little bit of editing here. Okay, so I want to talk about what we're calling the magic menu. Previously in Classic, we had a lot of tools just readily accessible in the top center of the UI. So a lot of that is now accessible through this lovely start menu. So if I select that, I can do things like removing filler words, shortening word gaps, doing the copying of highlights that I create. I can also detect transcription errors. This is where this particular feature was available in the wrench icon. So we condensed a lot of things into this, the star menu here. So if I, let's say, remove filler words, I'll still see an itemized list of like all of those instances. I can pick and choose what I want to keep or toss. I have the option of deleting or striking. I'll go ahead and ignore, apply to all. That's going to create that little edit point where we remove those filler words. Your search is also up here too. So if I X out of this, you'll see the search icon. Previously, this used to be on the left side of the screen. So if I want to find, let me toggle to text. Find, where does Jay see the word spark? Okay, cool. It's right there.
That was my spark. I knew that I knew.
And then if there are more instances of that word, I can keep auditioning through and listening back. This is like lightning round magic menu stuff, but just want to make sure we cover it all. Christiana,
Totally.
how does that feel? What anything else I should mention there?
No, that was awesome. You got it.
Cool. One other thing too with video, one thing that you can do here is add scenes by active speaker. So it'll create a scene each time it switches speakers on screen. So if I want to just see a full cam shot, it'll do that for you automatically, which is really nice.
So cool.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna pop back to J and JP here. One other thing that you're probably noticing that's a little different is this feather icon over here on the left, or a quill.
Yes.
So this is a big difference too, especially if you were previously like writing around tape in your projects. You used to be able to just put your cursor down and start writing. For accessibility purposes, we made some updates here. So now you can go in and out of correct mode. So again, that's how if you want to correct a specific word or phrase, I can correct it. And maybe I want to change this to business development. Again, that'll just adjust the transcript without affecting the underlying audio or video. I can also go into write mode. So if I want to write in and around my tape, I can do that. So if I jump here, note for host to add more background, J. And then as you write, you could just use this simply as a scripting tool. But then the cool thing is that you can still convert this from text to speech using the overdub feature. So you'll notice if you hover to the left of that sentence, I can insert a speaker label associated with the overdub voice if I want. Otherwise, you can keep using it as a writing tool. And last but not least, you can toggle to overdub. So if there are specific words or phrases that you want to overdub, you can use that mode as well. Okay, cool. I definitely want to cover the sort of difference in how compositions are listed, as well as organization of files, because I know that was a fairly significant shift in layout. Totally. Christiane, is there anything else I should mention before we take a look at that?
I think that's a great place to head off to.
Okay, awesome. So you'll notice up here in the top menu, this is where I see my project title, and then there's a slash, and then it's noting which composition I'm in. So if I click on this down arrow, I see my list of compositions. This used to always be present in Classic, used to always be on the left. So a couple things, I can decide if I want this to always be present in my project view. So if I click and drag this all the way to the left, you can now dock it on the left. So it will always persist here if you want. I can do the same thing with my files as well. And same thing, if you want to create a new composition, hit that plus button. It'll create a new composition, new blank one. I can create folders, selects. And then if I go to my media library here, this is divided into two different sections. So one is your files. This is where all of your raw, unedited files live. Previously, this used to be condensed in that composition list. So now it's divided into two different sections. On the other side of it is your embedded stock media library, right? So this is where we pulled that B-roll earlier, GIFs, images, audio, which includes music and sound effects. So if I want to see all of my original files, I can reference them and again, dock those on the left. So if I want to reference them, I have them quickly accessible here. Okay, again, that was like lightning round sort of change in how compositions and project files are stored and where they live. But Christiane, anything else I should mention on this?
Well, that was actually a question that someone had specifically asked. So your intuition was right to cover that. So no, yeah. And one thing, like, I know we're going so fast, and normally for our larger 101 events where we show you the basics of Descript, they're an hour and a half long. And we also don't spend the first, 15, 20 minutes covering transitioning. So totally understand if y'all are like, this is very fast. Totally. We have recordings of a bunch of 101 events on our YouTube, so you can go check all of that out. We know this is a little fast because we wanted to make sure we got the transition information to you. And we also have an event coming up in 2 weeks on August 8th. Maybe that's only 1 week. Whoa.
That's going fast. We're in August now.
Time is going fast. It's either the 8th or the 10th. And yeah, so if you go on crowdcast.io/descript, you can sign up for that right now.
Awesome.
So just wanted to mention that. But no, Harmony, you are doing this all fast but very thoroughly and great, which is a huge accomplishment. So
Well, again, for folks in the audience, I've got your back. Like, we're here if you want to book time or reach out. Don't hesitate to contact me. But in our last few minutes, I want to show you how cool templates are. We talked about some of the newer stuff up here in the top center of the screen. So media library and files, the ability to record directly into a composition. Text is where you can access your caption. So we added our caption layer in here. You can also add titles and just free form text if you want. Your shapes, this is where you can add things like arrows if you're creating, specific document support or training documentation. You can add waveforms, progress bars. But this last one is like our templates. And this is broken into 2 different sections. So my templates are custom templates that I've created. And then we also have a gallery view of some pre-built things. So you can even take one of these templates that are pre-baked and then customize them to the look and feel of your own branding. One that I use all the time, I'm just going to kind of skim through these so you can see what's available to you. This is also where our audiograms live. So you could take one of these, customize it to your liking. Also a bunch of vertical views as well, annotations, overlays. The one that I'm going to use right now is actually this bubbly 2-camera scene. And so since I'm here on this 3rd scene here, I want to add this to my 1st and 3rd scene. So I'm going to go here, select it. And cool. So I want to actually move that forward. Cool. Actually, I'm going to move this backward. Cool. And I want to have the same template apply to that 3rd scene. So all I have to do, click on that scene, right click, copy. And I'm going to paste that right there. So it's pasting those same sort of properties elements into that 3rd scene. Alternatively, what I can do is I can just select that scene, go up to my templates, and reapply it. But you'll notice I'm going to have to do that same formatting where I moved that sort of bubble back. So I'm going to send to back. There we go. Cool. Now I've got the template that I want. And again, you can create as many custom templates as you want, share it with your drive, repurpose that way. Again, you're not like building everything from scratch. One other just small shout out too. Again, we talked a little bit about when we select a range of text, we get this script toolbar. This is where your formatting is, bolding, italicizing, ignoring. We use that duplicate to function. This is also where your highlighting and commenting is. So if I need to get Jack's attention here, add a visual here. Jack will get notified he's been mentioned in this project. He can pop in, edit if he has permission. And same thing, if I want to go through and do some highlighting, I can highlight salmon, and then maybe I want to create a new composition here where I just pull in. All right. I'm just going to copy my highlights also in the magic menu, and then go into my blank composition and just paste that right on in. Easy peasy.
Awesome.
Okay,
Love it.
I know we're right up to the hour. So are there any questions, Christiana, we want to take, or should we talk about publishing? Totally up to you.
There definitely are some questions. So we could go a little over if you want to hit some of those.
I'm good with that. Yeah, let's keep the party going.
Okay, awesome. Folks, if you have to jump off now, absolutely feel free. Remember that this is recorded and we'll send it out after. So also we'll hit some of the questions here. There's no way we could hit them all right now. So one thing I want to plug, Marcelo did answer tons of questions in the Ask a Question section, like 35.
Wow.
So you definitely recommend looking through that, seeing what other people asked, and checking out Marcelo's answers. I also want to plug that every Wednesday, Marcelo does office hours in our Discord community. I pulled up a QR code to join that as well. And that is where it's a smaller group, and you face to face with Marcelo get to ask questions. So big plug for that. Definitely check those out. So yes, if you have to head off, go right ahead. We're going to maybe spend 5-10 minutes hitting some questions.
Okay.
And yeah, we will go from there.
Cool.
Super cool. Okay, so this is the big one that I'm seeing a couple times where people are just specifically asking Harmony, like, well, did this move over to Descript, the new Descript, like Studio Sound or XY, like other type of feature? This question specifically says, so are all the old audio features remaining? But like, let's spread that out for all of the Descript features in general. Are those all still in Descript? Is the question.
Yeah, the answer is yes, and then some. So we all of like Studio Sound, all of the audio effects, like your EQ and compression, all of that came over. Plus, some even more effects.
Yes.
So it's all there. You're going to be accessing that in the properties panel on the right. So one thing you'll notice that, like, if you're in the script over here, you'll see audio effects. We're going to highlight like two of the most commonly used effects, which is Studio Sound and ducking. Otherwise, hit that plus button and you can go in and add that compression. We have like high pass and low pass filters for EQ. We've got some creative ones as well as reverb. One thing to note for Studio Sound is that once you enable that, from there to adjust the intensity, just click on the word Studio Sound and you'll get that prompt to adjust the intensity. I know that like when and if, something, the audio is already pretty good, but it needs a little sweetening, I'll usually bring it down to about like somewhere between 70 and 80%. So it doesn't sound too processed.
Totally. Cool. Awesome. Cool. Okay. Someone asked, pull this up here. In Classic, when you wrote on the composition, it would create blue text plus a gap clip. Does that still exist in Storyboard?
Yeah, so absolutely, we'll still create blue text. So the main difference here, again, I just like to hit enter to start a new paragraph. I'm going to hit the W key to go into write mode, and then we'll adding, oops, text here. You'll notice I'm going to zoom in the timeline here. It's adding that gap clip, right? So it's by default, it's going to add a little bit of that gap clip based on the amount of text that you've added. Additionally, one thing that you can also do now in the timeline is if you grab onto the word bar, that will just create a word gap for you, and you can adjust the timing of that, and that will create automatic room tone based on the files that you've uploaded. So use the W key to get into write mode, and yes, it'll still create the written text in blue.
Awesome. Next one here. For my podcast, will all past episodes done in Classic, which live on varied podcast directories and my hosting platform and website, still be able to be listened to?
Yes. Yeah. So at 100%. Yeah. You'll, one thing we didn't really touch on today was exporting. So you'll still go through the same process, publish, and then you can decide if you want to publish to different hosting platforms or export. So no worries, like you still go through the same process of, exporting your audio or video file, right, and then uploading to your hosting destination.
Totally. Once your piece, your project is out of Descript, like it is forever there. Yeah. Like Descript is not a hosting platform, right? Like, so we are not like the source of your content out there. So like, don't feel worried about that. And yeah, but great question.
Great question.
Cool. Okay, let's see here. We talked about shortcuts already. Someone asked, Classic had 2 finger zoom on the timeline for a Mac trackpad. Is that feature in Storyboard? I've had to do it either manually or with keyboard shortcuts.
Great question. Yeah. So if you're on a trackpad, you can do that 2-finger zoom. So I'm just using my trackpad and I'm, zooming in and out just like but this way, right? Alternatively, if you have a mouse like this, I've got the slider. So if you hold down Command or Control, again, depending on your operating system, and then using that slider on your mouse, I can zoom in, zoom out of the timeline. That's how I prefer to zoom in and out. I find it the quickest, easiest way. But totally your preference, whether you want to go that route or using those keyboard shortcuts that are included here.
Awesome. Perfect. Someone asked, is there a B-roll library included?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. So you no longer have to source that on your own, but you can still totally do that if you'd like. But if you go to the media library here, go over to videos, and you can search for B-roll here. You can also look for backgrounds. You can do the same for GIFs, images, audio, and more.
Awesome. Super cool. Okay. And then last one I think we'll hit here. If I strike through a section in a video composition, how does that render in the final project? Does it just get skipped as if it were deleted, or is there a blank space?
Yep. So it there won't be a blank space. It will basically just function like a normal non-destructive edit. So in your export, if I, let's say, let me strike this section here, you'll see in your export, it'll go from where she's saying she's going to be chatting with her a little bit.
She's just a fantastic example of creators.
And it'll segue right to that next edit point.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And if you open that up in Premiere, for example, again, it'll be like if you load that file in Premiere, you'll still be able to peel back on either side of the track if you want to continue to make edits as needed.
Perfect. Yes. Great point. Descript plays well with others, as we say. So you can export out to your favorite other editing tool and be able to do everything that you want to do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. We covered some awesome ground today. Harmony, thank you so much for being our fearless leader today.
Thank you. No, and thank you to everyone that attended today. Really appreciate your thoughtful questions. And if you still feel that you need some help, again, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help.
Absolutely. Yes, we are here. We would love your feedback in the polls section for this event. It's right under the Ask a Question section. Let us know how you felt about all this content and also how you feel about Descript in general. Also, if there are specific things you would like in a future event about transitioning to the new Descript, please let us know. You can let us know in the chat. But yes, we want to make these as helpful and accessible as possible. So thank you so much for being here with us. We do events on using Descript every single week, often twice a week. I sent a Descript 101 that's coming up next week in the chat. Please join us there. But yes, amazing questions today. Thank you so much for being a part of the Descript community. We're just really happy that you're here.
And speaking of community, if you're going to be at Podcast Movement in a couple of weeks, we're going to be there, and we would love to see you. Please come visit Christiana and I and the team at the booth. I understand we're near the puppy booth, so even more reason to come visit us.
We're right across from the puppy booth. So if that's not, the carrot to dangle, yes, we would love to see some of y'all there. And one more time, I'm just going to plug the Discord community. Marcelo does office hours every Wednesday. Also, our support team is in there and very helpful other users. So if you're like, I need some more help, hop over there and yeah. Okay. Awesome. Harmony, thank you again. Thank you so much, everybody. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye.